Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So I had a viewer share this with me and I decided to share it with you all as well. Thank you to the viewer who shared this story with me, but it looks like African Americans may have saved Cadillac from going bankrupt in the 1930s. Anyway, before getting into this story, I want you all to go ahead and share the video. Okay, if you haven't subscribed, I want you to hit the subscribe. Make sure that you are still subscribed. Many of you have been saying that you have to keep resubscribing to the channel because YouTube is doing something. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Share the video, like it if you enjoy the content when we're done. Anyway, we're going to dive right into the story, but I'm not surprised by the headline at all. If black Americans indeed did save Cadillac from going under, I'm not surprised at all. We have been called liquid money. I remember there was a video put out years ago when they were actually talking about it. They were showing how black people go into retail stores and they look at the hats, they try on the clothes, and they were talking about how they study our buying habits and our spending habits and things of that nature. And so you gotta understand this. Everything about us is studied, right? So this is why they call us liquid money, meaning you can market anything to black people and they believe that they have a market there. We've got to change the narrative, however. We've got to start making sure that companies who can't stick by us or be loyal to us, why should we be loyal to you? Anyway, I want you to take a look and a listen at this report concerning Cadillac, and some very, very interesting points are going to be made as to why so-called black people were even able to afford Cadillacs back during the time where a lot of other people were going through the Great Depression. Listen at this. Sometimes they mess their own selves up. They're trying to mess us over, but they end up messing up over their own selves. Listen to this, and of course, you know I will be right back.
You know that black America saved Cadillac in 1934. Cadillac wouldn't even exist today had it not been for black America in 1934, and I can tell you exactly how they did it. First, you have to understand Henry Ford had 3 car companies. The first was a complete failure, sold the assets. He had a second car company which failed, and a man named Henry Leland bought it and turned it into Cadillac. And then Henry had a third company we know as Ford Motor Company. Henry didn't really do the work. He hired some brothers and then tried to cut the brothers out. Those brothers started a car company named Dodge. So I want you to understand how incestuous this is. So Henry Leland started Cadillac. GM bought it in 1919 from him. So now General Motors has it. It's one of the top luxury brands in America. But when the Great Depression hit in 1928, nobody had money, right? You don't have auto loans. They did not exist back then. So if you couldn't pay cash for a car, you weren't getting it, and banks failed, nobody had money. So Cadillac lost 85% of their sales in 5 years. They're literally in the board meeting to shut Cadillac down when their service manager nationwide came in and goes, I think I can save the company. Like, yeah, whatever, how? He goes, we don't sell to anybody but white people. And black Americans in the South are paying white guys $300 cash over and above the price of the car so they can drive. The elite, the judges, the attorneys, the entertainers, go for it. And Cadillac's like, what do we got to lose? So in 1934, they opened it up, the first car company ever to have integrated sales. And black Americans bought so many Cadillacs in 1934, sales went up 70%. Now I want you to ask yourself, this is the Great Depression. Nobody has money, there's bread lines. How can black Americans afford to save a luxury brand? How? They couldn't put their money in banks. And all the banks failed, all the white people lost their money. The law of unintended consequences kept black America from being harmed by the Great Depression like everybody else, believe it or not. And I talked to a gentleman who said the only reason my granddad said he knew it was a Great Depression because he saw a white man picking out his trash. I was like, wow. So in doing this, it turned Cadillac around. Cadillac became the first auto manufacturer to hire Black Americans on the design and style team, not just the factory. So Cadillac became one of the first integrated brands, and a lot of times we have stereotypes about Black America loves Cadillacs. How do you know why? They save the damn car.
So I am not surprised at all that so-called black people could be responsible for actually saving Cadillac from going out of business, because we like to spend money. And black people like luxury. As a matter of fact, even to this day, Cadillac is one of the favorite vehicles of a lot of elder black people. I'll say elder because a lot of the young folk are going for something else. But I'm not surprised at all. I want to look more into, share some more details on this particular story, because this is no surprise to me at all, because we historically have been the kind of people who we like the best things, right? We may not always be able to afford it, but we like the best things. And that can be good and bad. I don't like the fact that we're supporting companies that don't even appreciate our business, but this just testifies to the power of black dollars and our spending power. And these companies actually depend on us to gain this kind of foothold, but we don't realize how important that is. And if we would demand more from these companies, maybe we would be treated differently. But because we don't know how to use our dollars to our benefit, we plug it into communities that don't even appreciate us. This is why our dollars bounce right out the door, and it goes right back to these companies who don't even acknowledge the power of black spending, right? So anyway, let me share some of this report with you all. It says, according to the Ed Craze 1980 Chrome Colossus in 1932, Cadillac was in danger of being discontinued when a young service manager named Nicholas Dreystadt crashed a General Motors Executive Committee meeting to offer an idea. Dreystadt had noticed that a large number of Cadillacs owned by African Americans were brought in for servicing, even though the corporate policy was to not sell them cars. Isn't that something? They didn't even want to sell us their cars. He says he proposed that Cadillac could boost sales by cultivating African American buyers. Mabra Holyfield 2019 wrote that these African Americans were boxers, entertainers, lawyers, doctors, and ministers who have been willing to pay white men $300 to purchase cars from them, or for them, should I say, for them. So ain't that something? Cadillac didn't even want our business. They didn't even want us driving their cars. It says the executive committee gave Dreystadt 18 months to show what he could do. His efforts proved so successful that the Cadillac division was soon breaking even, and by 1940 had seen a tenfold increase in sales, according to Cray 1980. Packard, which then dominated the luxury field, continued to reserve for itself the old money landed gentry, Cray noted. Thus, Packard went under while Cadillac prospered as America's status symbol. Okay, did doing the right thing drive Cadillac sales growth? Cray was right that Cadillac showed a big improvement in production during Dreystadt's tenure heading Cadillac. Production of the Cadillac and its lower-priced companion brand, LaSalle, soared from under 6,700 units in 1933 to over 66,000 in 1941, which was an almost tenfold increase. That said, it took a lot longer than 18 months for sales to rebound. Combined Cadillac LaSalle output didn't surpass 1930 levels until 1937. Sales didn't really take off until 1941, when the LaSalle was replaced by the Cadillac Series 61, 62, and 63, which had list price ranging from $1,345 to $1,965. Cadillac's more traditional price range above $2,000 represented less than 11% of total output. So what really saved the Cadillac brand was going down market into Buick territory. In addition, Cadillac's improvement in market share wasn't all that different from Lincoln's through most of the 1930s. As you can see from the graph below, in 1934, Cadillac saw a sharper increase, but like Lincoln, declined in following years. From 1936 through 38, both luxury brands saw their market share soar as the economy rebounded. From 1939 onward, Cadillac usually did better, while Lincoln Zephyr market share fell off. Another way to look at the production data is to compare how Cadillac recovered from the Great Depression compared to General Motors and the U.S. auto industry as a whole. Cadillac and LaSalle production fell off much more sharply in 1933 and started to inch up in 1934 before roaring back over the next 3 years. Then from 1937 onward, Cadillac tracked fairly close with both GM and the rest of the industry. Now, what the graph suggests is that Cadillac's rebound in 1934 through 37 at least partly reflected the recovery of the auto industry in general from 1937 through 41. Cadillac did much better than Lincoln, but its growth wasn't exceptional for a GM division. Of course, in the 1930s, Cadillac's biggest competitor was Packard rather than Lincoln. One challenge in making apples to apples comparison is that Packard moved farther down market than either Cadillac or Lincoln in the 120 series beginning in 1935 and the 115 series in 1937. In the peak year of 1937, senior Packards made up only 6% of almost 123,000 units produced. Cadillac would build slightly more senior models that year. Price cuts in 1936 helped Cadillac to rebound. One factor in the Cadillac's growth appears to have been a major restructuring of its lineup in 1936. A new entry-level Series 60 was added to fill a roughly $900 price gap between the Cadillac and the LaSalle lineups. Advertising for the Series 60 emphasized price, and the ads shown below targeted women drivers. Okay. The Cadillac brand was moved both down market and up market at the same time. The Series 60 was priced below any senior Packard or Lincoln, while the Series 90 was above high-end models from those brands. What all this suggests to me is that Jim Koch's 2019 may be onto something when he wrote, there is no evidence that Cadillac sales increase was directly the result of dropping its discriminatory policy toward African Americans. Still, that was a step in the right direction to right a wrong, and the change inevitably contributed to widening Cadillac's market going forward, he concluded. Okay. Driving a Cadillac wasn't just about stature. Megan Kathleen Monahan suggested that the purchase of Cadillacs by African Americans signified not only wealth and economic structure, but also a personal victory against racism, where the public act of driving one's automobile placed one on the same social level as white Americans. Now, one thing I want to say about the previous section of this article is that they're trying to say, even though there was another market of buyers open, African Americans, you have this guy who's trying to claim that African American buyers didn't necessarily contribute to saving Cadillac. Isn't that something? So in other words, they're always trying to steal the glory and they want to gloss over it and sweep things under the rug. It doesn't matter what you say, dude. It doesn't matter what you say. The truth is what it is, right? Based on what I'm reading here, though, I doubt that I would ever want a Cadillac again. I remember I had a Cadillac years ago when we lived in Michigan, and I did get it on sale. I actually owned a Cadillac twice. I bought them used from people that were getting rid of them. I remember one guy selling his, and then there was another. Actually, I owned a Cadillac 3 times. I forgot about the 1970s Cadillac I had. That one was a much older model. Then I had 2 newer models, and all of this was when we lived in Michigan. But had I known this, I probably would have never even bought them used from private owners, right? So I didn't spend a whole lot of money for mine. I didn't spend a whole lot at all. I got really good deals on used Cadillacs that were still fairly good condition when I bought them. But knowing this bit of information that they didn't even want black people riding their vehicles, at this point I say you can keep your car and do whatever you want with it. I would never want to buy one, ever. But these companies are something else. They are something else. And I'm really sorry that our people, we get so caught up in trying to prove to these people that, hey, I can afford it, I'm going to buy it. After they say they don't want me to have it, that would probably be the end of that for me. I remember Oprah Winfrey, when she bought one of her houses, she offered to buy it from these people, and they were like, no, we're not selling our house. And so she, I believe, don't quote me on this, but she offered them close to $100 million over what it was worth, or something like that, to convince them, hey, I think you want to take this deal. That's how badly she wanted the property. And I remember thinking, okay, Oprah bought what she wanted. She wanted this, and so she really went after it. But then I also remember thinking that these people, they not really upset her, but they insulted her so badly in terms of turning down her offer that she said, well, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse, right? But it's really sad that we always have to feel like we have to prove something to folk. After a while, it ain't gonna be none of that. Okay, it's not gonna be any of that. They're gonna have to prove something. Like Yahusha said, if you can't stand my people, you can't stand me. So after a while, they're gonna have to prove that they really do love the Most High by how they deal with us as well. And I know some of you don't understand that, but that's what the good book said. Yahusha said, if you despise my people, you despise me. In other words, there ain't no getting to the cross if you can't come through his people. Sorry. Anyway, y'all know I always have to take it back to the book, right? Always. Back to the article. It says, that said, it wasn't just about statue driving. While black author Gretchen Soren noted that large cars such as Cadillacs and Buicks were also preferred as a response to the challenges African Americans face while driving long distances. And not only in the South, because they might not find restaurants where they were allowed eat or motels to stay at overnight. Their car needed to be big enough to sleep in and carry essentials such as food. Isn't that something? Ain't that something? So some of our people drove bigger cars because you had these cotton picking establishments that didn't want you to eat at their restaurant or stay at their hotels. Oh, y'all got a whole lot of stuff y'all gonna have to answer for, America. A whole lot of stuff. You think you slick, you think you're getting away with all this mess, but all of that stuff was jotted down by the angels, by the earth, the moon, the stars, the wind, the trees, the bark on the trees. All of your dirty, wicked deeds have been jotted down, and your sins have reached unto heaven. Anyway, back to the article. It says, Soren also debunked the stereotype that today African Americans own a disproportionate number of Cadillacs. She said they do so in the same proportion as white Americans. Okay. So anyway, that is the end of the article, but I just thought it was very, very interesting how, some are saying that black Americans saved Cadillac from bankruptcy in the 1930s, but you have someone who put their 2 cents into it, and they're trying to make it seem like that is not necessarily the case, right? In other words, we don't want to give credit to them. You all may have started buying, opening up another door or another demographic of buyers, but you didn't save Cadillac, whatever. Just because you state your opinion doesn't make it true, right? Anyway, especially when you have others debunking what you said. Share your thoughts on this in the comment section below. I want to know what your thoughts are concerning black people and how we definitely have a great buying power, but it is not appreciated. And I think we should start clutching our purses and closing our wallets a little more and stop spending in places where we're not wanted. It's like this is such a raggedy group of people in this country, raggedy and racist at the same time. And reprobate. Raggedy, racist, and reprobate. And guess what? A lot of rottenness in the heart too. Quadruple R in this country. And they don't think that they're ever going to have to repent. Oh, goodness. That's 5 R's, isn't it? So anyway, share your thoughts on this in the comment section below. As always, keep it tight and keep it right. But until the next live or the next video, stay prayed up. We hope you liked today's topic. Please leave your comments below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, share it like this video, and with that, we're out. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.